Well, let's get back to our top story now. The White House vows to appeal a federal judge's decision blocking President Obama's executive actions on immigration. The ruling allows the 26 states who are suing the federal government more time to pursue that lawsuit to stop it. Just to remind everyone, the president's policy is supposed to free up federal resources to target violent criminals. The first of the orders was set to kick in tomorrow, preventing the U.S. from deporting young immigrants who were illegally brought to the U.S. as children. The other major part of the order was set to start in May, expanding deportation protections to parents of U.S. citizens and permanent residents. Congressional Republicans are fuming. They agree with the president's earlier statements that he doesn't have the power to implement these changes. They are hoping to deny funding for the president's plan in the budget for the Department of Homeland Security. The DHS budget set to expire next week. Their main objection, they see the president's move as an unconstitutional power grab going around Congress rather than working with lawmakers. Let's bring in A.B. Stoddard, the managing editor and columnist for The Hill. Charlie Hurt, also with us, columnist for The Washington Times. I wonder, A.B., does this judge's ruling take Republicans off of a bit of a hook? They were looking at the potential shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security next week because they don't want to fund the president's executive actions. If the judge has said you can't do these executive actions now, do Republicans find their way clear to go ahead and restore DHS funding?
I think the smart thing would be for them to get out of the corner that they box themselves into and pass a clean DHS funding bill when they return next Monday, the 23rd. Their attempts to pass the House-passed bill, which includes those policy riders which block the president's executive action, have failed 3 times in the Senate. Democrats are not going to budge. They continue to say in a time of heightened threat, Republicans are threatening our national security by withholding DHS funding. It's a political loser. Republicans have been acknowledging this for weeks, almost a month, that they can't get this out and they don't know what to do and they don't have an answer for this. The best thing to do would be to pass the clean funding and say, pending this injunction, we're going to wait, until another day to act on the president's executive order and hope that the courts back us up. There are differences, though. Other Republicans say, no, we cannot trust Obama no matter what the courts do to stop his executive action, and that he'll carry it out no matter what. They're going to still try to attach these immigration riders. And there's another school of thought that this is going to heighten the pressure for Democrats and turn Democratic votes. And in the end, they'll be able to pass something stopping the president with Democratic votes. And I promise you that last one is not going to work. The Democrats are going to continue to push for a clean spending bill.
Every member of Congress, Charlie, is usually somewhat irritated when any chief executive of either party uses executive power to bypass Congress. But Democrats don't seem to be particularly upset about this one. Why not?
Well, I think that because the president is doing something that a lot of them agree with, and I would actually argue that this is a problem that we've seen over the past 10 years, even with President Bush and Republicans in Congress. Congress has done so much in the past decade or 2 decades to sort of relent, to give up their own authority over a lot of these issues, and it's a bipartisan plague, and it's very troubling, and it should alarm every American.
They've become enablers.
Absolute enablers, and what they've done is, they're undercutting themselves. But the only thing I care about is they're undercutting the American people, who, Congress is the closest voice that we American voters have in Washington. And when Congress gives up its authority to a president, whatever his party, it's really dangerous. But I think that this ruling that came out last night is a pretty devastating smackdown of the president, who billed himself to us as a constitutional law expert. It says that while the president is allowed to sort of have his own policies about how and what way to go about deporting illegals here, he has no right to bequeath upon them rights and benefits that are reserved for U.S. citizens. And furthermore, he has no right to basically take his policies and extend them beyond his administration. There's nothing he can do that, without an act of Congress intervening, that can tell future presidents how they must treat this group of illegal immigrants that he has picked out to save.
A.B., the president used to say he didn't have the power to do this. Then I think it was after the election, he suddenly found that he did have the power to do this, at least in his own mind.
Right. Well, he did warn the Congress, in fairness to the president, over and over and over again, that it was their job to come up with their own plan. And if they didn't, he would do this. The injunction is not actually declaring his executive action unconstitutional. It's on a technicality, which is that they didn't register this in the Federal Register and begin a formal process for comment and review. If they do that in the next few days, the injunction could end. It also could lead to an actual ruling against the executive order, but it hasn't yet. The president knows that this is only for, even if he gets past these court rulings, only for the extent of his 2 years in office. It obviously doesn't dictate anything for the future presidents. They can walk in and it'll be over. But it does put Republicans in a very tough political box. They are fighting among themselves over how to proceed on immigration. 3 very significant top Republican donors are holding a conference call today urging the party to pass some kind of reform. If they don't have an answer, we'll always be debating President Obama's executive order, which, by the way, has a majority approval in polling. Not the way that he did it, but the policies that he issued. So this is a fight Republicans have to resolve among themselves before they nominate a presidential candidate.
We'll find out what happens next week when the Congress comes back in session. A.B. Stoddard, Charlie Hurt, thank you both.